What do Lady Gaga and Harley Quinn have in common? More than you might think. Both women have faced trauma, reinvented themselves multiple times, and become icons in their own right. But as Gaga prepares to bring Harley to life on the big screen, we have to ask, is this inspired casting or a potential train wreck? Welcome, Hero Junkies. In the next few minutes, we'll take you on a journey from Gaga's childhood in New York to her groundbreaking music career, and finally to her foray into serious acting. We'll explore the parallels between her life and Harley Quinn's, and reveal why Gaga might be the perfect choice to portray this complex character. Before we move forward, make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel. From Stephanie to Gaga, the birth of an icon. In 2005, a young woman walked into a New York City bar with nothing but a piano and a dream. Stephanie Germanotta, born and raised in Manhattan's Upper West Side, had been immersed in music since childhood. Growing up in an Italian-American family, she was surrounded by the sounds of classic rock and pop, with her father introducing her to artists like Bruce Springsteen and Billy Joel. Stephanie's love for music grew quickly. By the time she was 4, she could play simple tunes on the family piano. By the time she was 13, she had written her first ballad. Because her parents saw how talented she was, they put her in classical piano lessons and supported her artistic pursuits. Stephanie honed her skills and dreamed of becoming famous as a teenager by singing in school plays and open mic nights. There were bumps along the way, though. Stephanie dropped out of New York University's Tisch School of the Arts after only a short time to focus on her music career full-time. She played gigs in small clubs and bars all over the Lower East Side, where people were often rude or uninterested. She was turned down by record companies because they thought she was too theatrical, too avant-garde, or just not marketable enough. It hurt to be rejected all the time. Stephanie had problems with self-doubt and feelings of not being good enough. In later interviews, she said that this time was marked by depression and drug use as she tried to figure out who she was as an artist. She could have given up, but she chose to start over. Lady Gaga comes in. It all started when Stephanie fell in love with Queen's Freddie Mercury and wanted to make herself seem bigger than life on stage. She got ideas from glam rock, pop art, and fashion to make an image that was shocking and interesting. I was on stage in a thong with a fringe hanging over my ass thinking that had covered it, lighting hairsprays on fire, go-go dancing to Black Sabbath, and singing songs about oral sex, Gaga once said about her early shows. The change was more than just the surface. Lady Gaga showed Stephanie a level of freedom she had never experienced before. She broke the rules, tried new things with her sound, and wouldn't follow the rules set by the industry. Because she felt more creative and sure of herself, she met the producer Red One, who would help her make her big break. When Just Dance came out in 2008, it changed everything. The catchy electropop song slowly made its way up the charts and eventually became the #1 in a number of countries. All of a sudden, the girl who had been turned down many times was the talk of the music business. Lady Gaga was here to stay. Gaga's fame shot through the roof as Just Dance took over radio stations and dance floors around the world. Her first album, The Fame, had a lot of hits, like Poker Face and Paparazzi. She was famous for more than just her music. Her crazy outfits and stage shows made her even more famous. Everyone loved Lady Gaga so much. But being famous costs money. There was less and less difference between Stephanie and Gaga as her public image grew bigger than life. The constant attention, touring, and pressure to make each new album better than the last started to wear her down. Under the shine and glitz of Lady Gaga's newfound fame, the darkness that had followed Stephanie since she was a child was still there. The world didn't know that the real battles were about to start. The Fame Monster, Gaga's rise, and personal demons. From 2008 to 2013, Lady Gaga's rise to fame around the world was nothing short of meteoric. Her albums The Fame and Born This Way were huge hits, selling more than 27 million copies around the world. There was no doubt that Gaga was now one of the most popular music artists of all time. Her flashy outfits, performance art that pushed the limits, and catchy pop songs were everywhere. The rest of the world thought Lady Gaga was amazing. But a storm was building up below the surface. The stress of being famous was getting to the real woman behind the mask. Gaga found it hard to keep up with the fast-paced life of her newfound fame as her star rose higher and higher. Her mental health started to get worse as she was constantly watched, went on tour, and had sky-high expectations put on her. Gaga was dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression behind closed doors. She still had the darkness that had followed her around when she was younger as Stephanie Germanato. It was just hidden by the glitz and glamour of her stage persona. In interviews afterwards, she said,
I have mental health issues. I take a lot of medication.
When it comes to mental health, the music business can be especially harsh. A lot of artists feel like they have to keep up a perfect front and hide their problems from the public. When pop stars live a very busy life, they are under a lot of pressure, which can make them abuse drugs or have mental health problems. This cycle kept Gaga stuck. She turned to drugs and alcohol to dull the pain and keep up with the demands of her career. In reality, the woman who seemed to have everything was just about to lose everything. She said it was overwhelming, which was very different from the confident, larger-than-life character she played on stage. Gaga knew that something had to change when her personal problems got worse. She was brave enough to step out of the spotlight in 2013 and focus on her mental health and well-being. For an artist at the top of her game, it was a risky move, but Gaga knew she had to do it to stay alive. Gaga's life and career changed when she made this choice. She worked on herself by seeking professional help. Even more important, she was brave enough to talk about her problems out loud. I realized that by sharing my story, I could help others who are going through similar battles, she said. Gaga not only helped herself by talking about her problems, but she also started a bigger conversation about mental health in the entertainment business. Fans and other artists alike connected with her openness and honesty, which helped break down the stigma around mental health issues. But Gaga's search for herself was far from over. As she tried to balance her public image with her personal problems, she started to explore new ways to express herself through art. She didn't know it at the time, but these experiences would set her up for her most important role yet, one that would challenge her like never before and put her in touch with another famous person who knew a thing or two about inner demons and rising above them. Born This Way, Gaga's advocacy and artist evolution. Born This Way, Lady Gaga's 2011 song, was more than just a hit. It started a movement. Millions of people, especially the LGBTQ community, really connected with the anthem's strong message of self-acceptance. Gaga's strong statement that everyone was born this way inspired people to be proud of who they were and fight against discrimination. The song had an effect that went far beyond the charts. It started conversations around the world about self-love and equality. Born This Way was more than just a catchy pop song for Gaga, though. It was a change in her art, moving towards more personal and important themes. This change, on the other hand, came with its own challenges. Both fans and critics were curious about whether Gaga could keep making money while also exploring deeper, more complicated ideas in her music. Even though people were skeptical, Gaga kept up her advocacy work. She helped start the Born This Way Foundation with her mother, Cynthia Germanato, in 2012. The organization's focus on mental health and empowering youth came from Gaga's own struggles and her desire to make a difference. The foundation has raised more than $10 million and worked with many other groups to raise awareness about mental health and stop bullying. It became clear that Gaga had an effect on her fans and on society as a whole. Her charitable work and the messages in her music encouraged a lot of people to be proud of who they are and get help when they needed it. There was more to the pop star than just making people laugh. She was a voice for those who couldn't speak up and a light for those who were dealing with their own inner turmoil. Gaga started to try new ways to express herself as she continued to grow as an artist. She worked with jazz great Tony Bennett on the albums Cheek to Cheek 2014 and Love for Sale 2021, which was a surprise. This move into jazz showed how versatile Gaga is as a singer and was a big change from her pop roots. Some critics said that this change could hurt her pop career, while others praised her for being brave enough to try out new music styles. Gaga's growth as an artist wasn't just in music. A few roles that let her show off her range as a performer were the first steps she took into the world of acting. In the end, this change led her to roles that were harder and more complicated, which prepared her for her most life-changing role yet. As she talked about her life, Gaga said in an interview in 2024, "Playing a strung-out girl my whole career was a way for me to split off from my true self, but it's all me." This statement showed that Gaga is always looking for authenticity in her life and in her art. As Lady Gaga kept pushing the limits and giving herself new challenges, it was clear that she was not done surprising her fans. She had no idea that the hardest part was still to come. Soon, Gaga would get a part that would test her to the max and force her to face her demons in ways she never thought possible. Everything she had learned about herself and her craft would be put to the test in this new chapter, which would lead to a performance that would stun the audience and leave critics speechless. A Star is Born, Gaga's silver screen triumph. Her first role as an actress in A Star is Born was a turning point in her career. Gaga played Ally, a talented but unknown singer-songwriter in a role that was a lot like her own rise to fame. But unlike her music career, where she had years of experience to draw from, acting was a whole new set of challenges for her. Both critics and fans were skeptical of Gaga when she played a lead role for the first time. Would a pop star really be able to carry a movie? Gaga felt like a lot of people had high expectations of her, and the pressure was huge. She worked closely with director and co-star Bradley Cooper to get ready for the part. Cooper told her to take off the mask of her public persona and connect with a more honest and open side of herself. Cooper, who knew how talented Gaga was, pushed her to sing in a more understated way for the movie, which is different from how she usually does it. Gaga found this process of unlearning and relearning to both be hard and life-changing. "I had to do away with my usual onstage bravado for my take on Harley Quinn in Joker Folie à Deux," she said after the fact. She was ready to leave her comfort zone, which would be very important for her future roles. The chemistry between Gaga and Cooper was a big part of making the movie and how people responded to afterward. Cooper praised Gaga's performance, saying, "She's so good at it, you guys." Their work together felt natural and organic. "She's going to amaze you." This connection on screen led to powerful performances that captivated audiences around the world. When A Star is Born came out in theaters, it did well with both critics and audiences. The movie made over $436 million around the world, putting an end to any doubts about Gaga's movie star power. The reviewers liked her performance and said she was able to show strong emotions and vulnerability. Once again, Gaga was able to change herself, this time from a pop star to a respected actress. As award season got closer, more and more people talked about Gaga's performance. There were many nominations for the movie at different award shows, and Gaga's performance as Ally got a lot of attention. The highest honor for Gaga came at the 91st Academy Awards, where she won the award for Best Original Song for Shallow, a song she sang with Bradley Cooper in the movie. This Oscar win was a big moment in Gaga's career and solidified her reputation as a versatile artist. It showed that she was good at both music and movies, which gave her more ways to express herself creatively. Gaga is now a serious contender for future acting roles thanks to the success of A Star is Born and the attention it brought her. Meanwhile, in the House of Gucci, Lady Gaga took on the complex role of Patrizia Reggiani, the socialite convicted of arranging the murder of her ex-husband, Maurizio Gucci. Directed by Ridley Scott, the film reveals the scandalous power struggles and tragedy within the Gucci family. Gaga fully committed to her character, adopting an Italian accent and embodying Patrizia's fierce ambition and turmoil on and off set. The role resonated with Gaga, who saw Reggiani as both passionate and isolated within the family. Critics and fans alike praised her intense portrayal, solidifying her reputation as a fearless and versatile actress, one who was ready for her next transformation.
I'm trying to teach Alessandra the importance of not touching other people's belongings.
Becoming Harley, Gaga's transformation for Joker Folie à Deux. The news that Lady Gaga would be playing Harley Quinn in Joker Folie à Deux shocked everyone in the entertainment business. Both fans and critics were interested and doubtful. Could the pop star and Oscar-winning actress really show how crazy and complicated one of DC's most popular bad girls is? The choice to cast GaGa wasn't made without much thought. Todd Phillips, the director who had worked with GaGa on A Star Is Born, said that she kept coming to mind when he and co-writer Scott Silver were making the sequel. As the movie started to have musical parts, they thought GaGa might be a great fit. Phillip did say that at first they thought it was crazy to think about her for the part. Fans had a range of reactions. Some people were excited to see how GaGa would play Harley Quinn in a way that was all her own, especially since she has a strong musical background and has already shown she can act. Others were doubtful, wondering if she could capture the character's unique personality and chaotic nature. GaGa didn't let the doubters stop her from preparing for the role with her usual intensity. In the movie, Harley Quinn is played by Harleen Lee Quinzel. She was determined to make the character into something completely new. Phillips said that many of the things that people usually associate with Harley were taken away, like her high voice and sassy attitude, so that she would fit in with the darker world that was set up in the first Joker movie. GaGa carefully and deeply prepared for the show. She looked at different portrayals of women in trouble and even the Manson girls to get a sense of how innocent and dangerous they were. GaGa talked about the many layers she wanted to add to her performance by saying, "There was this innocence that was eerie and a childlike thing that was going on that I thought was very unsettling." Getting rid of her usual performance style was one of the hardest parts of GaGa's change. She said that the process took away her stage cockiness and showmanship, which were things that came naturally to her as a performer. "I tried to breathe incorrectly," she said, "and try not to do any vocal placement in my throat the way that I would when I'm on stage." This method was meant to make a character that felt real and grounded, which was very different from the unrealistic persona GaGa was known for. Early reactions to her performance started to come in as people got more excited about the movie's release. People who work in the industry said her performance gave the character a new haunting quality. GaGa's portrayal of Harley Quinn, who is manipulative and different from the character's comic book roots, promised a new and interesting take on the famous character. People were looking forward to seeing her Harley Quinn on the big screen, but the real drama was going on behind the scenes. She wasn't ready for how hard the process of becoming Harley was on her. As she learned more about the character's mind, the line between actress and character started to blur. This led to a powerful and life-changing experience that pushed her limits and made her face her own inner demons. The method behind the madness, GaGa's approach to Harley Quinn. "It was hard for the pop star," she said. "All the showmanship, all the bravado of being on stage, all the things that come naturally to me as GaGa, I tried to get rid of them all." The immersive technique that GaGa used took a big toll on her body and mind. She used a method acting style that required her to change the way she breathed in order to fully embody Harley Quinn. "I tried to breathe incorrectly," GaGa said, explaining how she changed the way she normally places her voice to match Joaquin Phoenix's performance by singing in a breathy, low-key way. Their commitment to being real made their chemistry on screen better, but it hurt GaGa's well-established performance habits. GaGa had to face many challenges in this role, which made her face parts of herself she was still working on. Director Todd Phillips said that GaGa's Harley Quinn would be more bossy and manipulative than previous versions. He said, "She became the way that Charles Manson had girls who looked up to him." For this darker, more complicated role, GaGa had to explore the darker parts of her own mind, which made the lines between actress and character less clear in ways she hadn't planned. At least Joaquin Phoenix was used to this method acting, unlike his co-star counterpart. As GaGa spent more time in Harley Quinn's world, the psychological effects of being so involved with a character started to show. To commit to the role, GaGa had to change not only how she looked, but also how she felt, which tested her sense of who she was. Even though this way of acting could be bad for an artist's mental health, it held the promise of a powerful and real performance. GaGa took a different approach to playing Harley Quinn, which led to a performance that was meant to surprise. Harley is usually just the Joker's sidekick, but GaGa's version of the character showed her as someone who actively pursues and manipulates Arthur Fleck, which changed the way they interact with each other. This new version of Harley Quinn came about because GaGa worked hard to prepare and was ready to break down her own star persona. It was supposed to be a performance like nothing else seen in the DC universe. But as filming went on, the difference between Lady Gaga and Harley Quinn became less clear in strange ways. Together, Gaga's immersive performance style and the emotional depth needed for the part would take her on a journey of self-discovery. Art imitating life, the parallels between Gaga and Harley. When Lady Gaga became involved with Harley Quinn's world, she found an unexpected connection with her. The pop star and the comic book bad guy had a lot in common besides just sharing screen time. They also had a deep understanding of duality and inner turmoil. As Gaga learned more about Harley Quinn's mind, she found striking similarities between her own life and that of her character. Both women had gone through major changes, reinventing themselves in response to hardship. For Gaga, this meant giving up her name as Stephanie Germanotta and becoming the huge pop star we know today. It meant that Harley changed from Dr. Harleen Quinzel to the crazy and unpredictable Harley Quinn. The idea of duality was a big part of both Gaga's career and Harley's personality. She had trouble balancing her public and private selves, just like Harley had trouble juggling her past as a psychiatrist and her present as a criminal. Gaga felt this inner conflict very deeply, and it affected how she played the part. Gaga's past traumas and struggles gave her a lot of emotion to use when she played Harley. She used her own struggles with mental health and the stress of being famous to make her performance more real and deep. I did know that I wanted to make a tension between her being strong-willed and always being very scared, Gaga said, describing the complicated emotional landscape she wanted to show. As Gaga learned more about Harley's past, the bond between the actress and the character grew stronger. Harley's past is shown in the movie to be very complicated and multi-layered, with different stories about it. This lack of clarity let Gaga bring her own ideas about changing who you are and the masks we wear to protect ourselves into the role. Lady Gaga's role as Harley Quinn in Joker Folie à Deux was a turning point in her artistic career. It was a perfect blend of her musical skills and her growing acting career. By taking away the typical Harley traits, Gaga has made the character more realistic and complex, giving the iconic role a new meaning for a new generation. The fact that director Todd Phillips chose to let Gaga's interpretation shine through shows how art and performance can change things. This role not only shows how versatile Gaga is as an artist, but it also shows how she can give complicated characters depth and realism. Gaga has a bright future ahead of her in both music and movies. Her upcoming album, Harley Quinn, which goes with the movie, shows off even more of her artistic range and her unique ability to combine music and movies. To see how Harley changed throughout the years, watch this video here.